So today we have an awesome session. We thought before we start our new cohort, which is just starting next week, maybe we just lay down the foundations and give you a flavor of what GenAI actually means, where we are coming from, what the journey so far. And I was discussing this with previous cohort members, Ankit and Shamishta. Shamishta is here, and that's all I needed. So they will come in and out as well. So just get started. I think most of the session will be on the board. So just follow along. I will take 15-20 minutes to lay down the foundations and what the journey looks like, what you need to learn if you want to be product manager in this field, and what the ecosystem looks like, and how can you, if you're building a GenAI products or your team is building a GenAI products, what things you can use to bring them, what are the steps you can take to bring them to production or get it in the hand of your customers. So that's the idea. So let's get started. I will be happy to stay back. Generally, it's an hour-long session. So I will be here for another 20 minutes because I think questions is how we all learn. So we'll be very open that way. Raise your hand if you have questions, but for first 15-20 minutes, let me just lay the foundation and land what I need to land, and then we will be all up for questions. Sounds good? Just say, Parinita, I was so missing you. I was like, where is Parinita gone? Thank you for coming back. I was about to ping you. So this is our cohort people, just to let you know. So let's get started. And if you can see my board, that's all you need to do. If you can come on camera, it just helps me get a feedback that I'm not putting you to sleep. But if you can't, I completely understand. Saturdays, Mahesh is traveling, so he will just make you dizzy. And Garima must be eating. So I just don't know what's happening. So if you can't come, that's great. But if you can, not asleep. Great. Okay. So let's talk about GenAI and the world we live in now and how we can build products on it. So before I go, let me just take on. So can somebody paste the Canva link for deck? Karan, you have it? Or you want me to? Karan is like, I have no clue. Just give me 1 second. Here is the link. These are just notes. We'll do mostly on board, but I thought maybe if you want to follow along or quickly read and then go and say, I'm done, you can do it right away. Here you go. Thank you, Karan. Okay, let's get started. So we're talking about GenAI products, but before we talk about GenAI products, let's talk about what's so special about GenAI. Like, what are the three things that differentiate GenAI from other things, or what is so exciting about generative AI? So, what is generative AI? I think three capabilities which has actually made everything possible or make it so exciting for us are: number one is they have, of course, generative capabilities. So they can generate text, images, audio, and because they can generate images, they can generate videos because videos are nothing but images played at a higher speed. So you feel like they are moving. Text, you see this architecture called transformers. This is diffusion models. You need not to know the details, but that's the tech behind them. So this is the first time we have a capability that allows you to generate text by a single prompt or single sentence. You can just ask it to write an essay or saying it that, hey, give me an image of medieval characters running on moon. It will give you that, a video doing that. So that's exciting. What more exciting, which was not before possible, was that you take a large model or any machine learning model, and with just English, you have a capability to prompt them to take different roles. So earlier, if you wanted to do a single job, like let's say you want to do, uh, let's say you want to do language transition, language conversion, and then after converting the language, you want to do sentiment analysis, and after that, let's say you want to do another job, then you needed three models. But now a single model simple model with just instructions like, hey, given this, can you convert this language English to Spanish? Hey, in Spanish, can you tell me the sentiment of it? And once you have 100 of them, can you plot them on a graph? And all this can be done by a single model today. That's amazing. And how it is done is even more amazing because all you need an English language prompt. This was not possible before because you needed to know the APIs and you need to understand those models and you needed to see what they return and handle them and then create a chain or pipe. So that's the second thing that's special about GenAI. And the last thing, which we are still iterating on, is these are context aware models. By context, what I mean is you can actually tune them to work for you. This is the idea when you hear like these technical people which try to say that they know more than you. The idea is that they say you instruction tuning and all, but the whole premise they are trying to say is that you can make them behave, take different roles, and tune them to more take a persona. So you can say, hey, act like a lawyer, and before you do that, you can actually tune a large model, a really you can train a single model with a lot of data, and then what you can do is you can make it context aware that where the model is, what kind of job it's trying to do, and that it can you can do by some instructions or tuning it some parameter in a process called instruction tuning. So this is the first time we have context aware models, and then we are trying to see can they reason. And for reasoning, what you need is awareness of the world you live in. And that's the hard problem, right? Because end of the day, these are simple models which are just trying to predict the next word in a sentence, and giving them reasoning is the next frontier. So they're already context aware, so we had to achieve this goal, and this is where we are going. So these things are really special. And combining these three is all the excitement you are seeing, all the disruption people are talking about is because of these three things. Okay, so that's the first thing. So if anybody says, hey, why generative AI? What are you doing in generative AI? How is it different? I think now you should be able to answer it. So I will just write it here. So why generative AI? Three things. One, models which can actually be prompted, models which are context aware, and model which have the capability to generate. Great. So that's our first problem solved. Now let's see. We released them in 2022 with ChatGPT to the world, and now we are living in 2024 and actually getting into 2025. So almost 2 years. And how, let's see, this journey has evolved, and how what kind of products people are making money on or they are selling. So that's the second piece we will go into, which is so first thing when the ChatGPT was released, you saw a lot of people just say, "Hey, actually, what we can do is we can do chatbots, Q&A, and it's a disruption to search." Remember, like Bing said that our search is powered by ChatGPT. We are bringing the first generative AI search to the world, and Bing, if you wanted to install that, you needed to install first Microsoft Edge because they knew that it would be hard to monetize anything else. So just that capability that you can actually, instead of searching, ask a question and get an answer was something out of box presented to us in 2022 or 2023. So that was the first generation of apps that we see here. There was no magic. You were asking a large language model a question, and because it's trained on so many world knowledge, everything on on internet, everything on every encyclopedia, Wikipedia, the model has an understanding of it, and it has an awesome capabilities because of its ability to understand context and prompt, and with few prompt changes you could actually get an answer. These gave to a lot of Q&A apps, a lot of chatbots. You saw somebody saw PDF readers, PDF chat, all that came in that era. And then you had interactive models. industry specific things. So Bloomberg trained a model called Bloomberg GPT, which said I can only answer question in finance. There were models in healthcare. So that's the first year of excitement, that you can actually take these as a baseline or generate a industry specific model and then ask questions and get answers. A new way to do search or solve your problems by asking Q&A. So that's the first turn. Then happened 2023. People said, that's fine. We have a normal search engine, but the search engine is already very good. So how can I use it in my company? That's 2023 to 2024, I would say mid 2024. And we introduced something called RAG, Retrieval Augmented Generation. And the idea was that you take the model, and because the model is trained on some external data, you can bring your own data, your company files, your people profile, your HR data, everything that your company has. And then instead of sending this question directly to the model, you can actually send the question to here, get relevant context back, and then send the question with this context and get an answer. This was the journey of, you saw Copilot, you saw Amazon Q, you saw Notion AI, and all the apps started offering a feature in their app, which was saying that, hey, now you can do more with AI. And this is exactly what you're seeing in LinkedIn. When LinkedIn says generate your post with AI, they are actually grounding it on your previous posts here. And then if you say, hey, generate a post for me or generate an article for me, they can use your previous post to generate a more personalized article for you rather than giving you a general article, which you can get outside in ChatGPT. So this is all the apps and a lot of hiring happening here. People are thinking on new features and how can they enhance their current product with something that makes people more efficient to do the job that they were already doing. So that was 2023 to mid 2024. I will keep that here and we'll call it RAG based AI features. So that's 2024 H1. We are saying co-pilots, and what can they do? They can allow you to do a job that you were doing is they were selling efficiency. Okay. The next one, 2024 H2, which you are sitting now, everybody's talking about agents. And we did an awesome session. I have to say awesome because I did the session, but you can check it out. We did it last Saturday. Please, somebody put a link so that people can just quickly go there. But this is a new way where people are saying, hey, it's cool to get your company data added, but what about the APIs? We already have APIs. Why can't your machine learning model use our company APIs, our data, and things like reflection, where you can check if a job is done or not? Then can you take a task and do it for me? This is like booking tickets for me, making my schedule, making my calendar up to date by combining 3 calendars. This is just my task. But in a company, you can think of generating leads. I don't have enough biz dev people, and every CEO you talk to would like to have more biz dev people. So how can you give them more biz dev people? Actually, you can build agents for them, and these agents will scrap the internet, look at LinkedIn, figure out who the people are, create a personalized crafted message for them, send it to them, and when they respond, they create a CRM entry for you that here are some warm leads for you. So that's a use case. And there are use cases like this in every vertical of an enterprise or your personal life. That's the world you live in right now. So this is where people are excited, investing money in, finding more and more use cases for these agents inside enterprise and also in consumer space. That what can we actually give people? One idea there, which I think Inflection AI or somebody was working, is that everybody should have a chief of staff. It's cool to have a chief of staff, right? That you can actually give them anything that you have and they can help you or they can get it done for you. And how can AI build chief of staff for everybody who is 18 years or up? So these are the things, these are the apps, that's the ecosystem you're living in. And we can discuss in next session what after agents. I have some ideas. Last November, I said it will be agents, and I was right. I'm rarely right, but that time it just worked out. This time, I also have some predictions. So next session, maybe we can answer it. But let's see what is our journey so far from 2022 to 2024. Our journey, Q&A, search, custom models, co-pilots, and the dance of efficiency and agents for automation. Okay, so that's our first. This is our second. Okay, so now we know there is a technology. Now we know there are use cases that we can go after. Now, the most essential part, which is what you need to do as a product manager to make these things happen, right? So you are a product manager, and now you are a product manager in GenAI because you attended this session. And that's all it takes. So you're a product manager in GenAI, and how can you actually bring these products to life? What are the three things you need to do specifically, or where you should focus, or where you should be learning a lot if you want to bring these to life? So number one here is you need to know whether the use case is AI or not an AI use case or not AI. Nobody tells you. People will get so excited with AI. Your VPs are so excited. The whole world is so excited. A lot of things which doesn't even need AI or are not ready for AI. Not ready. Anybody? Sharmishta, you want to add here?
Yep.
Sharmishta is like, I'm lost.
No, no, yeah, absolutely. That's right. Like the ROI, I mean, you can call it directly link it to the ROI assessment. So basically, it starts from the use case selection to all the way to your capacity assessment, to your metrics, and then the way to monetize so that you can kind of show leadership. Okay, how does it link to your business objective, right? So that's, I guess, the fundamental problem issue at this point. I mean, that
Yeah.
PMs can take care of. So that's what you were talking about, right? So yeah.
Yeah, I'm so proud of you. So I will check whether it's ready or not. The use case is even mature. Do we have data? Does it need the kind of intelligence? Is it even possible for AI? Somebody can say, "Hey, I need a family advisor. I'm going through this really challenging relationship with my wife, and I need an advisor." Are the models ready for that? I don't think so. It requires so personal details that even the advisors are not ready. Forget these models. So first check, is it ready? And then what Sharmista was talking about, will there be an ROI in this use case? Like there is so much going on and it's so hard to figure out what people are ready to pay for. And it's so expensive to build these because the cost of GPU is higher. People who build these, like you will become, are really hard to find and charge a lot. So what's the input? What's the output cost of this? And third is the idea of regulations. The AI Act is already defined in EU, will go into in practice in 6 months. So should you build AI which invades personal space, like tracking people identity or tracking people or making a mental model of these humans by reading their text if they used you as a co-pilot in their email? You can't do those things. The regulation will bar you. So as a product manager, first thing you do is you define whether AI is the right use case or it's not a right use case for AI. And third, dumb simple is there are rule-based systems already which solves this problem. Why are you over complicating it with AI? And why are you making it so expensive? Like one example we take in class is that where we have contracts and people wanted to just analyze the contracts by AI doing optimal optical character recognition on them while they had a word copy already. So why can't they do simple regex, write an if loop and get the job done? Why first convert the word to PDF, then go into this new world of whether you are accurate or not and all the create complexities for you. So that's the first thing you will do. Great. So we did all this. Now we think it's an AI product. So we made sure that regulations are good. We made sure that critical AI components are there. We go in our course in detail what are these components and have a template to checkmark these. So regulations, critical, and then critical AI components, and then will there be an ROI? At least basic analysis needs to be there. And then what you do is you go and create your evaluation criteria. Right, Sharmishta?
Yeah.
And Sharmishta can say, I need to first evaluate a model, if what model to use, what model not to use. We did a session on that also, a whole 30 minutes deep dive into how can you choose from open source models, which model will fit your needs. So please watch that. Then you have to also, once you choose the model, you have to set a criteria for simple human evaluation, where we use a HHH framework, which stands for someone.
Honesty, harmless,
Helpful.
helpful.
Yay! The whole cohort is so successful. Helpful, harmless,
Harmless,
honest.
honest.
Perfect. And then you create in each a set of questions, and then you have a criteria on each of these. When can you launch your MVP? When can you launch your first phase? When can you launch your phase 2? And this will be coming from your domain expertise or what problem you are trying to solve. So if you can set this for your product, this is your second job. And then you set the criteria on that, hey, my helpfulness needs to be 95% and above, my honest has to be 80%, and my harmless or my regretful responses or anything like that needs to be less than 5%. Right? So that's the second thing you end up doing. And then the third thing, which is an extension of this, is auto evals, because humans can only evaluate in the beginning, but eventually when you scale your product, you need auto evaluation. So that's the third thing. Okay. So now you have done evaluations. Now comes the part of actually getting into customer hands. And there are three patterns for GenAI apps there also, which are number one, you will have a free tier. Nobody knows actually. You got a lot of data, but your model can be tweaked many ways. It will behave badly. You need to keep the same metrics of your evaluation and run it with your customers. And it's a generic pattern that every product that goes out there has some kind of free tier where you can try. They get a free feedback. You get a free advantage or free value out of the product. Then they have a subscription model where they cater to a specific need or they improve the accuracy of the product. So they give you free plus subscription. So ChatGPT 3.5 is free, but if you want to try the latest 4.0, you pay them a generic $20. And the last one is customized workflow. This is where the money needs to, most of the money will be made. So this is where your agents are coming along. This is where you deploy and bring small language models on-prem for your customers if they can't send this data to this third-party large language model. This is where fine-tuned models are coming, where you're actually going and training this model or tweaking its behavior for a specific use case. And the value here is at least 10x. So this is zero, this is $20. This is anywhere from $200 to $2,000 that people are charging, right? So this is how you will define a strategy, which is like how will you bring and how will you price? And that's pretty much it. So this is the last three things. And then we can take questions. I know the time just runs. I think 2024. And third aspect of it is what you need to do, AI or not, setting up your evaluation criteria and figuring out the monetization and pricing. Of course, there is a lot of things like how are you setting up responsible AI? How are you setting practices around trade-offs, which we have templates. But that's pretty much the TLDR on GenAI. And at this point, I just want to point you to the course, which we are starting next week. So feel free to join the course. I will be here to have any questions, revise anything Parinita or Mahesh need to ask or add. By the way, anybody who is part of the cohort can add to these things. That's what we are opening. Hopefully, we can do these lightning session as a team going forward. Uh, when we meet on Friday, we decided how we're going to go about it. We do that on Friday. So join Fridays. By the way, if you join the cohort, we continue to meet Fridays so that people can finish their projects. We can have conversations or stay connected as a community. The goal for me is to have this community. I think I really love uh, all of people who just come together and solve problems, and will continue to do these things. So course is a way to get into community. Community is a way to get more and more AI into customers or hands. So that's my mission. Somebody put the course link. I think the course is amazing, but the community is more amazing. So please join the community. And if you feel like you learned something today, and if you want to double click on these ideas, join the course. I think it is a great course. Obviously, I made it, so I think there's nothing like it. But some cohort member will be happy to share or even set up 5 minutes with 5 to 10 minutes call if you have questions. Raise your hand if you are volunteering for that. Sorry.
Hmm.
No.
Raising my hand.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you, Sharmishta. Okay. Thanks. Go ahead. It's all Q&A now. And I will stay back 15-20 minutes or whatever it takes for people to understand these ideas. Happy to double click on any of these or answer questions. Mahesh.
Thank you. First, I would definitely say I'm a big fan of Mahesh Yadav. Uh, I've been associated with him for more than a year now. I have taken the community, the cohort, and the lessons has incredibly helped me ramp up on a lot of things, right from the foundations all the way up to how the current landscape is evolving. I love his first principles approach, going from the fundamentals and building blocks from there. Second, I love the community because I have made some amazing friends over the year and I'm still in touch with them. Third is the aspect about digging in, really being hands-on, because like one is doing the theory, but the other part is like getting your hands dirty. And I have been, be able to do it. So I think one of the hands down one of the best AI PM programs out there. And I'm happy, to talk about it. Hit me. I'll kind of set up some time and talk about it. So great recommendation here. Quick question. I think, I mean, in fact, that's what I raised the hand for, is I think definitely would cover, you cover at a very high level. You, I'm just wondering, you might just want to touch upon the feedback part of it in terms of like post-launch. What are the things that you want to take care of, as to kind of like, I believe to complete the picture, I guess. Think about drift and, how do you keep the model sane post-launch? Um, so just a thought on that.
First of all, I love like how we all have evolved into this three asking things in like order of three. So that's great. And giving feedback in format of three. I'm trying to get the spotlight fixed. So give me just see. I'm super cool these days, isn't it? So, so Mahesh, couple of just first of all, thank you. And second of all, let's just talk about these three things. So today, I just wanted to have a very broad view. That's why we did not got into the details. But that's the whole idea of having Q&A now. So one is you talked about feedback. So I think feedback is why you are giving this for free, and you as a product need to put in these feedbacks. And the kind of feedback you need is broader feedback, which you see in all these thumbs and thumbs down. Second feedback you need is, hey, did my giving customers options, which you are also seeing in a lot of products. Like you ask a question and they say, oh, by the way, I have more question out of these three. Does it make sense? you want to pick one of these. And third is you want to say, did I answer your question? Which is what GPT is doing. And fourth is, which I have seen very recently, and this is what amazed me. So I'm going to double click along with all of you, is this idea where they are saying that, hey, I asked it a question and it said, by the way, let me ask you a clarifying question. And every time you ask, behind the scenes, there is a trigger which is telling that, hey, either the people are confused how to use our product, or we have such a, we are entering into a field where people are not asking yes, no, or simple questions. We are getting into a diverse set of things. And that's a feedback for your reasoning. Because reasoning needs to know, did I got this right? And if which path the customer is taking. So for an example, I asked it to draw a simple three charts. I wanted these bullets to be a main bullet and then three bullets down it. And I don't want to create that graph. So I said, hey, create a graph. And they said, oh, actually, are you asking for a line graph or a structured graph? Line graph is this, structured graph is this. And then whatever I chose is a feedback for them. So then they know that if customer asks this question, then here is my reasoning stack, and this means always structure. So they put more weights on that path, and now they're taking a feedback within the product, which even I'm not even providing. I'm just trying solving my problem. So I said structural graph, and they got a feedback. So one is dumb feedback, which is thumbs down, thumbs up, giving customer options, and third one is mostly within the product, which path you are taking, which is a reasoning feedback. I just took the first one. We can take rest. As we proceed, I will ask you to just give me the other ones. And there are a lot of these, like each is a chapter in itself. And that's why I think the course is the right avenue. And I can just keep talking otherwise.
Good.
So let's
Thank
just
you.
stay at feedback today.
Yeah.
Monique, uh,
Yeah, thank you for your time. And you may have answered this with the first part of your question, your response. So my thing is going into AI ML as a product manager, especially in spaces or industries you're not familiar with, to to be able to know if something's accurate versus not in the evaluation criteria and also the fine tuning. So I'm just curious, like, how do you validate that something's accurate? Is it really the reliance, like you said, thumbs up, thumbs down from customers or the end user? Do you need to hire an expert to come in to validate if the models are returning the right responses and outputs? Like, how do you go about that?
this is a very good question. So the question is that, hey, we need to evaluate, and you said you're gonna write set this honest, harmless, and helpful
Mm-hmm.
criteria, and that will have set of questions. But where are these questions coming from? Because let's say I'm building for a legal tool, but I'm
Yep,
not a lawyer.
exactly.
So how can I do that?
Mm-hmm.
So first thing you do, that's exactly where you come in, and your job is, and you answered your question. Your question had the answer in itself also. You talk to the subject matter expert. You are a medium, like you are the prism. The light is comes from somewhere, and the color goes somewhere else also. So as a
Mm-hmm.
product manager in AI, you are the prism. Don't have the domain expertise, and in this case, the lawyers provide you the answers. Your
Oh,
job is to create this data set. That, hey, as a lawyer, if I ask you this question, what is your answer? And you need to ask experts in that field, and that's what the first thing is. So you create these data sets.
okay.
Once you start meeting that criteria, then you are going and getting additional feedback from the usage of your customers. So what Mahesh was asking was the second phase. The first phase, where we discuss this triple H, this evaluation idea, is all in-house. And that's where, like, if building a solution takes X amount of dollars, getting this evaluation done is 2 to 3x of dollars for a product that you want to get into customers.
Oh,
And
okay.
that money goes into this whole SME, getting human evaluators, because those evaluators also need to say, because the answers are not something you can just compare. People
Mm-hmm.
the model may answer it close by, and there's no
Mm-hmm.
like objective answer. These are subjective things you're dealing with.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So you will also need human experts to say this answer is yes or no, was it helpful or not, but
Mm-hmm.
not doing comparison and getting 0 1 binary answer. You're just
Mm-hmm.
asking an expert that, hey, this is the question. This is some matter expert said this is the answer. What do you think? This is my answer. Is it helpful?
Mm-hmm.
And they have to say yes, no.
Mm-hmm.
That person also need to be paid a lot of money because that person need to know that domain.
Mm-hmm.
So not only the right answers, but human evaluators are costly, and you need
Mm-hmm.
to run it every time you change things or tweak things. So that's a journey where you will spend a lot of time and money.
I see. Thank you.
Least I can do. Karan, some questions from the chat.
Yeah, so there
Do you
are
have any?
many. So there's one question from Saikar. He's asking whether do you think experience outcomes is critical component which should be tracked, which means how will a user's life change slash improve with a defined generative experience slash agents in his or her hand.
Yeah, so again, these are subjective feedbacks that you will take. It's hard to take like life-changing feedback in the product because if you answer that question and we went to the structure graph, the graph was generated by the Python code and I didn't like it. I was looking for fancy thing to put it in my slides. I can create 3 nodes. So was that helpful? How can I tell them? I think they did the job, so I'm not giving them feedback, but they need to ask me. And that's what, if you saw, I would highly recommend you to read this study on Copilots, which Microsoft did. And I think Priya did this session with us, where she talked about how they went around getting subjective feedback and then of their Copilot product. And then they said that Copilot saved 30% of time or made a life-changing impact to enterprises. And people wanted to not have a free lunch, which is $12, which they were charging, and get this product every time they wanted. So this is how they quantified this life change, which is 30% efficiency. And given a choice, is you continue to use Copilot or get a pizza lunch for free from your company. And I think 90% or so people said, I would love to have this Copilot and not have a pizza. So that means it added value. So that's how people are going about it. I also saw one question from Varun where he was asking specifically projects, and he was saying projects are called optional. Actually, we need to update it. They are no more optional. So we just, I realized in cohort one, which Parinita attended. So in middle of it, Garima, Parinita, they can kill me for it. I realized that for people to learn, it was so essential for them to do these projects and they cannot be optional. So we divided them into pods. We gave them projects. Mahesh was there too. And then we finished the projects. In cohort two, that's how we got started. In the beginning, you had a project and your job was to finish the project and you wrote the PRD and also had a working session. Sharmista just did a demo yesterday. I won't put her on spot. I think she can do it, but it's just they have to have a working session with all of us and they have a working prototype and a PRD for the mission or the project they choose. And I think every week we add more and more to that, like the section on how can you make trade-offs, the section on what the pricing looks like, the section of an Uber level system architecture of your app. So all these are the sections we learn and we add to these projects. So I think projects are an essential way of learning and are not optional, Varun. And I think that's what people continue to iterate and are proud of. Inam is here. Hi, Inam. Inam is a friend of mine from the lawyer community and has helped me a lot. So just wanted to say hi.
So we have a question from Sagar. He's asking, are there any solutions available today for agents observability and monitoring, considering there are frameworks and platforms available for building agents? So how do we go about evaluating and monitoring all the agents which are being used in a company?
Yeah, so I think that's the new business, right? So every time you saw this change, right? How we evolved from search Q&A machines to co-pilots and now to agents, this journey has created different tooling also. So when you went to co-pilots, there is the prompt flow from AWS. There's prompt generator or something from Azure, and I'm pretty sure GCP Vertex has a product in the same. So what they allowed you to do is, if you change any prompts in your app, you can click a button and they can do the evaluation for you, and they can run auto evaluations, or you can upload your human evaluation and they can allow you to structure it. I believe Langsmith is the product. So every tooling provider, whether it's open source or a cloud provider, is continuously building on these things and trying to say, how can they make it easy for you? So these are the three tools I talked about, and you should look at it. Look at Prompt Flow at AWS, and I think Prompt something on Azure. They allow you to do evaluation at scale and with the no code, low code. And obviously there are like techniques how to do it, which we can discuss some other session, like what metrics, how can you do automate your evaluation with metrics like blue, coherence.
Thanks, Mahesh. Sagar here. Thanks for answering that. Uh, I was also looking at Crew AI because that was one of the frameworks that you mentioned in the last session that we spoke about.
Mhm.
Uh, I know they all have individual ways of monitoring or observability, but then I'm assuming that everybody or in a company will use AWS to build um, certain agents. We'll use probably Crew AI for internal agents or using certain frameworks, but there's no consolidated way of monitoring these. But eventually, based on like the agents AI that a HubSpot co-founder, the CTO built out, Agents.ai is a website where he's just putting up a lot of agents that you can hire. So they're positioning it as though you can hire some individual people over to your company. But there is no single way of observing all these agents together. It's just distributed. It's still something somebody has to look at. So I was just wondering if there is a consolidated view that is available.
Yeah, I think it's just so new, right? It's H2
Yeah,
2024. So you are 3 months and agent.io, which you're talking about, the HubSpot. But everybody's trying to do it in their own world. So HubSpot agent, I believe only you can hire if HubSpot is their CRM. So if
yeah,
your CRM is Salesforce, then their agent won't work. So it's basically an app to uh, to get people to HubSpot. So it's like, a flashy banner, and that's why they're not thinking about evaluating it. So I think as this matured, like, first we got the prompts, and
yeah,
then it took us a year to build the tooling on how to check prompts at scale, or how to change prompts and still ship things with correct evaluation, because before that it was all manual, and then prompt flow came after a year. Same you will see the agents, and now and then tying back to Monique question earlier, what will happen is you will have an evaluation set, and maybe these subject matter expert would put data set for a sales agent or a lead generation agent or a lead tracking agent. It just there's so many of these, and somebody will come up with what is a success looks like here, and then somebody will come up with a tool which can run your agent against this success criteria and give you some score,
right,
right? So now you're entering that field where it becomes very, very hard, or I think so subjective that it's just hard to build generic tools, because the evaluation criteria of a lead gen will be different than the marketing person, and who says this is a good marketing. Like
yeah,
today, humanity doesn't know. Like I know so awesome people who does do marketing, but not have gone to the tier one colleges, and I know so many awesome people who go to tier one colleges. So how you say this person is good at marketing versus this person? Like there's no objective way.
right.
And we have these universities, the degrees to help us. And that need to be created if we're going to live in an agentic world. So I don't expect it to happen to us in a year, if that's where you were going. Like you needed a framework which can tell me, is this sales agent good from agent.io, or Mahesh created a crew.io, or Varun created AWS agent for sales? Which out of these three? I have a choice to use any of these. How can
Yeah,
I know which one is good? That's not coming soon. It's just a hard problem.
right. Thank you.
So something for us to solve.
Yeah.
Every hard problem here is like an opportunity.
It's a difficult question to answer, and I hope it doesn't become that like we'll have a LinkedIn for all the agents eventually to hire those. I
That's the
hope that's
idea.
not what you're predicting for the future.
Yeah, it's just I think LinkedIn is a drama machine, and machines are not good at that. So I think even if they create profiles for them, they won't add the drama, so they won't be like very useful. So I think we are good at drama. So I'm not. I'm with you.
Thanks, Mahesh.
That they will have an objective benchmarks, I think, and that's coming. We'll have benchmarks for agents, especially for top agents people are going after, like support, marketing, biz dev, and
Compliance as well. Like
and
I was seeing a lot of people.
compliance. Yeah. So people will start somewhere on a broader level, and then at least ask any person who is throwing an agent at a common marketplace like agent.io, then they have to at least say how I am, what is my scorecard. Like we show our university scorecards. People have to show their scorecards of these agents. Maybe it's worth building it, right? I think it's a good idea. We should build like a scorecard of AI agents.
I also feel sometimes it's subjective because the data that you have access to as an agent within the company, the knowledge base, it's going to be different. What kind of problems are you solving? What kind of questions you're being asked? I think it would change. So
Yeah,
you'll be able to do that scoring without by removing that subjectiveness.
yeah. No, agreed. I think there are a lot of questions, so let's move on.
Okay,
But this is a great idea. I think you should double click on it. And if you want to write a one pager, we can talk.
thank you.
Mahesh, I had a question. Like, I just like that. So I have a question that. So when we're
What's your name?
talking
What's
about
your name?
autumn,
What's your name? What's your name? What's your name? Sorry.
my name is Saikat.
Hi.
SAIKT. Hi, hi. So, uh, when we're talking about agents and we are talking about metrics to qualify which is useful or whatever it is, right? So, all these agents are being there to help human beings, right? So is that one of those metrics where we can track that, okay, is this agent uh, better than an agent A is better than an agent B because they are being helpful more to human beings, or how are we going to answer that question? Because at
Like
the end of
same
the day, they
way.
are going to make life easier.
Yeah, I think same way. Like we have some frameworks which we use. One is means if you go back to medieval years when we were not like, you know, we did not have all the internet and all, and you needed to find somebody to hunt for you because let's say your leg was broken and you have some brains in community. How would you find the guy who can hunt? Because let's say you need this special thing needs to be hunted for a medicine that can cure you. How would you go about that? First thing is you might ask people. So you need a language which all of you speak, and that's a reference. So that's way old works because people can tell you the best. And then you know some people you can trust who are like you. It doesn't matter that guy is good or not. If it is good for him, it is good for you. So that's one. Second is people are popular. Maybe there is a list of hunters, and somehow know everybody knows about this guy. So that's second thing. And third thing is you have some experience and you can ask them questions and you can just bring top 10 hunters and create a game and say whoever wins this game, I will hire them. Like that's three ways we can think of. So same if you took it to agents, what would that look like? So imagine like agent.io and if Varun builds this, he has a framework and anybody puts it, they automatically test their agent and give them a rating. So they created a static benchmark. It's not dynamic, but they created that job and they continue to evolve that game and then they can score it and then say these are the ranks so you know who's the top team or who is the top agent. So that's one way. Second is whoever uses that agent can give you a feedback or give you a star rating, and if their rating is 5 star, then that's the agent which get more jobs, and if it can maintain its rating, then that agent can win. And as we discussed, the third one is just if you use an agent and if your friend wants another agent, you can just tell him, or you can just ask our agents. So I think those things needs to be built if we want to monetize these or help people actually make them useful. Because otherwise,
Correct.
what is happening today is it is exactly what happened to GPTs. Everybody just woke up and said, "Here is a GPT. It changes your life."
Correct.
And then there are 30,000 GPTs, and there are not even 30,000 users. So
Correct.
if I want a GPT which writes, there are 20 options, and none of them actually works. So I just wasted 20 minutes of my time and I got no value. I am not going to GPTs. So that's what I think Varun was touching upon. And I think using these three frameworks, we can set it up. And how you set it up is a challenge to be solved.
Pradeep would like to ask a question. Pradeep, please.
Hi, Mahesh. Good morning. One
Two more
question.
questions, then we can
Yeah,
go.
yeah. Hi. The question here is like, how do you design a product or a system which takes input prompt, context, and also the chat history? Because if a user is trying to interact with the system for like over so many hours and then the chat keeps growing, how do you combine all these things together in a single prompt? Like, because there is a prompt limitations or token limitations on the system.
So Pradeep question is, Pradeep just loves to have chat with AI agents, and let's say he has a chief of staff, and his chief of staff need to have a context of a week-long conversations because they are trying to solve a complex problem. So let's say they want to file their taxes, and now they are having this conversation about where the expenses were, what they have done. He's saying, let's apply for this discount, that discount, and this context is increasing. And we have this idea of memory where we store it and we add what is in the memory in the next chat. So the context is stored and we can continue the conversation rather than the model saying, what? Who said we are filing taxes? I'm just here to help. I am an agent which helps. So Pradeep is saying, how can you actually have longest context uh, without having the limitation on the model because the model has a limited context it can take in a single conversation. For Gemini, that's million tokens. For ChatGPT, that's or GPT models, that's 120K tokens, which comes out to be 20 pages worth of words. So that's his question. The answer to that is many ways. One thing is that you can always come and reduce that memory. Every time it fills up, you can say, hey, memory, go to 1/10 of your size, but make sure everything regarding this context, we are trying to solve this problem, which is a summary of what the problem you are trying to solve. So first summarize, generate a hypothesis what you are solving for. In this case, it would be we are trying to file taxes. And then you can say, put a summary context. So let's say you have 10 pages and you can say just shorten it one pages, keep as much as context as possible. And then you keep doing this recursively for every time this 10 pages of memory is filled. So that's one technique. Other people use is they find just the relevant words and that takes it. Third is you have to increase the context. Fourth is you can have a long-term memory. So what you do is every time you fill these 10 pages, you put it in long-term memory and then you do a search. So now you're building that operating system. You have this idea of a RAM and a hard disk. So that's the same idea there. This is how ChatGPTs do it, by the way. When they keep your transactions on the left hand side, they keep them in a hard memory, and when you pick it up, they load that, and when they load that, they summarize it. So you can have a larger new conversation, but as much as context from last time. But you can again add a 10-page document.
Yeah, thank you.
Pradeep.
Thanks so much. Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much.
So we can
This
end
time
with
I
the last
answered.
question.
Yes,
I
yes.
Last
answered Pradeep's
amazing
question. I
question.
need to celebrate it. Last time he just said that SLMs are so bad. We should never use them like something. So this time at least he said yes.
All right. Yeah.
Pradeep is
So
a friend, by
then,
the way, from my Microsoft days. He works for Intel, so I can pick on him.
Yeah, thanks.
okay. So yeah, there's the last question from Krish. That's an amazing question. He's asking that he feels like it's easy to build the AI agents and anyone can cannibalize with minimal effort. So what advice you would give if you would want to differentiate from the competitors, scale it or ship it faster? What we can do?
Who asked this question? Is that person still
Krish,
here? Chris.
he's
Okay, I
here.
think it's a very good question, Chris. But can I disagree with that? I think it's very easy to build an agent. I think it's very hard to build an helpful agent. And anybody in the cohort, you can ask this question. Everybody has an agent, but when I ask them or when they try to evaluate their agents, it's feeling all left and right. So the technology is not there yet. And I think before you worrying about differentiating your product with others, actually try to solve one use case for a customer with these Gen AI products. And I don't mean solve it for those 10 use cases. try to see if they can continuously solve it day to day. For me, like, let's say I want to have more lead generation for this courses that we are running, see if it solves it. See the quality of those lead gens. And then if I can change it with some feedback, hey, you're doing lead gens in this territory or this country, which we which is not our mass market, can you switch to US or can you switch to UK? Can you give me Middle East? Just try changing that and then see it will it work? Because that's what a human would like to want. You don't want agents which do whatever they want to do. You want agents which can be tweaked with simple instructions like I'm giving right now, and can adapt and give you better results. And that's where pretty much most of the things are not working. And making them work is your moat. And after that, as you said, there's no moat here. And I don't know, I can give you some tip to have a moat. The moat is actually solving the use case and solving customer problems repeatedly and across many dimensions. And that takes time. Like if you look at what is the moat of ChatGPT versus Claude, it's just they work in most of the use cases. If you take top 200 use cases, I think Claude and ChatGPT will be similar. So there's no moat. But if you start using ChatGPT, like the example I gave earlier, where I was looking for a structural input, not a line graph, ChatGPT just beats it. They have taken more iterations to figure out all the edge cases scenarios, and that's their mode. With that said, happy Diwali if I don't see you before Diwali. And Diwali is an Indian festival. I just have to say it. Uh, so thank you for joining. It's always fun. I will see you next Saturday. We're trying to bring more people, so hopefully we can have a broader conversations. You just don't listen from me. These are the people who actually are building different kind of domain-specific agents or agentic platforms. So you will see more and more, co-host or me talking and them talking, and then you can ask more questions. So super excited for next time. Parinita, so happy to see you again. If you want to talk, I'm happy to talk. Uh, just don't leave us. So, see ya, team.